Everyone, please welcome Dr. Ching-Ling Men.
Next, I'm going to introduce our first greeting from abroad, Dr. Gorazd Mesko. Dr. Gorazd Mesko is a Slovenian criminologist. He is currently the head of the Institute of Criminal Justice and Security at University of Maribor. He is serving as the managing editor of Journal of Criminal Investigation and Criminology. He also served as a guest editor of special issues of international criminology journals such as Policing, an international journal of police strategies and management, the Prison Journal, and the Crime, Law, and Social Change. He received the Zoe Award of his contribution to social science from the Ministry of Education, Science and Sports of the Republic of Slovenia in 2014. He has been the international ambassador for the British Society of Criminology since 2015. Mesko won the year of 2024's Mueller Award for distinguished contribution to international criminal justice. I'm going to show his video right now.
Gentlemen, dear conference participants, I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me to give a short address at the opening of the 2024 Niagara Conference on Workplace Mobbing, which covers very interesting topics related to subtle and less subtle forms of violence people experience at their workplaces. People often spend more time at work than at home. Therefore, whatever happens to people at work matters not only because people get paid for work, but also because we bring our work home and involve others in our work-related issues. I teach criminology and victimology at the Faculty of Criminal Justice and Security of the University of Maribor in Slovenia. To put very laconically, the main goal of criminology is to learn about perpetrators, causes, circumstances in which crime occurs, patterns of crime, and social reactions to crime. Victimology focuses on victims and their interactions with perpetrators. Both disciplines contribute to knowledge about crime, criminals, their victims, involved people, and not involved bystanders. Instrumentally, the main mission of both disciplines is to develop preventative solutions to reduce all kinds of crime, because when a crime occurs, it's too late and the path of criminal and, in some cases, civil proceedings can be longer and sometimes even more painful than the primary victimization. Victimology emphasizes people's suffering, losses, injuries, and negative emotions, as well as losing hope in the criminal justice system and formal social control. Human reactions toward the victims are not always full of understanding and support. Moreover, sometimes victims are stigmatized in the same manner as criminals, or even worse. I have research and personal experience with mobbing. Almost 20 years ago, in my wife's institution, the vice director and his allies started to mob other employees. When employees decided to report mobbing to the police, they were blamed for not being good and obedient workers. And because the majority of victims were women, they were blamed for being nasty women. The most intriguing statement in this regard was the statement from the director of the CID, who said that if the police recorded this crime, then they should report the majority of the leadership of the local police stations in the country. Tensions grew so hot that spouses of victimized employees decided to take action, to take justice in their hands. And this was the reason for firing one of the workers who later got her job back due to the unjustified allegations. Because the husband of one of the ladies threatened the vice director. The main source of mobbing, the vice director, was fired later, but not because of mobbing, but because he had falsified his BA degree certificate. In the process of seeking help, employees contacted the labor inspectorate, no response. Required the police to take action, again no response, and even worse, they blamed victims for their victimization. Members of parliament, the only party which responded to this problem was the right one, while the leftist parties, claiming the worker rights, did not feel confident to deal with such a minor issue of the complaining group of women. On another occasion, I conducted the research on mobbing in social care institutions and learned that around 20% of employees took tranquilizers regularly before going to work to stand the pressures at their workplace, including all kinds of mobbing. We also learned that about the same number of employees regularly took absence leaves due to psychological problems and burnout. Our findings were in line with the work of the following research from Sweden. Victims of workplace mobbing frequently suffer from adjustment disorders, somatic symptoms, psychological trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder, or major depression. Lehman, who coined the term workplace mobbing, who was an occupational psychologist and investigated psychology of workers who had suffered severe trauma. He observed that some of the most severe reactions were among workers who had been the target of an impassioned collective campaign by workers to exclude, punish, and humiliate them. In mobbing targets with post-traumatic stress disorder, mental effects were fully comparable with post-traumatic stress disorder from war or prison camp experiences. Some patients may develop alcoholism or other substance abuse disorders. Family relations routinely suffer, and victims sometimes display acts of aggression towards strangers in the street. Workplace targets and witnesses may even develop brief psychotic episodes, for example, occupational psychosis, generally with paranoid symptoms. Lehman estimated that 15% of suicides in Sweden could be directly attributed to workplace mobbing. One more anecdote before I conclude my address. I had a conversation on academic freedom with the rector of our university in 2007. He reminded me that I need to forget about academic freedom because we live in the times of academic protection. He gave me food for thought, and I learned that the academic environment is much less healthy environment than one could expect. On the surface, it's a nice environment, but underneath, it's mainly about competition. And if you are born academic Formula One pilot, it's okay. But what if you are not as fast as you should be and able enough? Then a well-known saying prevails, publish or perish. So on the first side, a very friendly environment is actually full of challenges. So I will stop here because I know that the very rich program of your conference includes a huge variety of perspectives on mobbing at the workplace. I wish you a great conference, a lot of interesting presentations, and fruitful debates, as well as good contribution to scholarly literature, policy making, and especially awareness raising in regard to workplace mobbing. Congratulations to the organizers for organizing this important event. Thank you for your attention and all the best.